And I believe that is the number one enemy of everyone, is not understanding what is actually going on in the world. It's only when you start to understand that you can make effective decisions and effective plans. Now, the question is, who is promoting ignorance? Well, those organisations that try to keep things secret, and those organisations which distort true information to make it false or misrepresentative. In this latter category, it is bad media. It really is my opinion that the media in general are so bad, we have to question whether the world wouldn't be better off without them altogether. They're so distortive to how the world actually is, that the result is we see wars and we see corrupt governments continue on. One of the hopeful things that I've discovered is that nearly every war that has started in the past 50 years has been a result of media lies. The media could have stopped it if they had searched deep enough. If they hadn't reprinted government propaganda, they could have stopped it. But what does that mean? Well, that means basically populations don't like wars. And populations have to be fooled into wars. Populations don't willingly, with open eyes, go into a war. So if we have a good media environment, then we'll also have a peaceful environment.
Julian Assange, thank you very much.
Lobo from the Oligarchy News Network. A new study shows that no one reads books and we should burn them all and stop printing. Back to you, Bill.
Let's get the hell out of here.
Eve, holy crap.
Yeah, you see, these are books, and they can teach you a lot about yourself and the world. This book is Julian Assange's, and it will help you understand geopolitics. So while we're on the subject, we should work to free him from political persecution.
Prison, under house arrest, and almost 5 years here in this embassy without sunlight. my children grew up without them. That is not something that I can forgive. It is not something that I can forget. It's something that I hope will be more than just about me. Because the reality is, detention and extradition without charge has become a feature of the European Union.
woman, when you walk my way with your pepper spray, all I can do is watch your hips sway. So come on now, police woman in your blue uniform, let me turn you on. Arrest me, arrest me, arrest me. Police woman, don't you know that I will turn you on with your own baton? I will turn you on with your handcuffs on. Come on, police woman in your blue uniform, let me turn you on. All I can do is watch your hips sway when you walk my way. Police woman,
please talk. Can someone talk to me? Can someone actually just tell me where the US Embassy staff are? No, they're not answering. So the British High Commission are not answering the door to 2 British citizens wanting to ask questions. Pretty shoddy. And it's raining now. 3rd venue today.
And the Swedish episode was just a bogus red herring. The US Constitution protects publishers and journalists. This crime was just to have broken the silence and provided, shown that we're complicit by failing to speak out against illegal wars and the attacks on this journalist who's actually provided the real truth and the deceit of Western governments. There's no investigative journalism in our lifetime whose equal importance in terms of information he has provided through WikiLeaks. He's called rapacious power to account. He's shown that our governments are supporting 70% of the military, including Saudi Arabia, which has an appalling record in terms of human rights and the treatment of women, but also is attacking on behalf of the United States Yemen, and we know that millions of people are at threat now in Yemen of starvation because they're closing the last port there, which is providing the humanitarian aid. At the same time, the drone execution that we don't really hear of innocent people all through the Middle East and any part of the world. Malcolm Turnbull can remain silent, or he can seize this opportunity and use his government's diplomatic influence to defend the life of an Australian citizen, a really top Australian citizen whose courageous public service is recognised by countless people across the world. He can bring Julian Assange home, and that's what we ask him to do right now.
Thank you. Right, we're gonna take it away now. Bye-bye, Beehive, until the next time. This will be where we come for emergency action. There's been a few people walking past today, taking an interest, which is great. It's just what we want. Some people are like, who's Julian? That astounds me, really, but anyway. Some people are like, we're with her, and I think those people really need to do some more investigation. But anyway, here we are. Free speech, freedom of press. Not 1984, if we can help it.
Everyone has heard of Pinterest. This is what it looks like before you log on. It's the home of cats. And more cats. And even more cats. And even some useful collections of information, like art galleries of the world. But why would Unity for J people want to use it? Because so long as you sign in with a Pinterest logon, you'll find a rapidly expanding library that will help you do your research, write your blogs, dress your tweets and Facebook entries with good quotes, and generally support Julian Assange and WikiLeaks more effectively and with less effort. So what's in here? The top part of the page has resources for learning and writing about Julian and WikiLeaks. We start off with info and donations, which takes you to various official sources. Notice how a link shows when you hover over a pin. So if you want to donate to Julian's Legal Defence Fund, find that pin and click the link. Instant access is in a separate window. When you're done donating, just close that window and go back to the Pinterest tab. All the major WikiLeaks publications are here in roughly chronological order. The chronological order of some boards is not exact, but Pinterest wasn't really designed for this purpose and makes it difficult. Sometimes extra entries are added to a board. In this case, the criteria WikiLeaks uses for publishing items. As with all pins, if we want to see the image enlarged, we click on the plus sign, and there it is. Want to see where that list of criteria came from? Just click the link. If the source is a video, you will usually be taken to the exact part of the video, but when it is a long article or transcript like this, you may need help. Just use the find function on your browser and it'll appear. We don't have time to look at all the research boards, but two that can be really helpful are Small Bits and Speaking. Small Bits is a collection of quotes in meme form linked to the source of the meme. The WikiLeaks principle of scientific journalism is that all things presented to a reader should be linked to source, so they can see and judge for themselves the accuracy of what you're saying. If you want to use these memes, you just right-click on the expanded image and Save Image As to download it to your own computer. Don't forget to associate it with the source link when you tweet or blog it, as you want to follow the WikiLeaks scientific journalism model. There's a growing collection of Julian Assange's speeches too, some with transcripts. Again, these are in roughly chronological order and are linked to the videos themselves. There's also an index at the top, which grows with every speech added. Click on it to explore the spreadsheet version of these speeches. The other research boards work the same ways. Recognition, which shows the prizes that Julian and WikiLeaks have won. Books. All the episodes of the 2012 Julian Assange show. And films about WikiLeaks. Where these are hostile, some commentary has been included too. Then we move into the fields of art related to Julian and WikiLeaks, often sourced from tweets, and music linked to videos or SoundCloud where appropriate. There's lots of legal stuff in law and lawyers, including links to relevant judgments. There's a small bit on Julian as a child and quite a bit more on what other people, OPs, have said about Julian in speech, writing, and some short quotes you can use too. Then we get to other resources, mostly created by Unity4J. All the vigil videos are here, linked to the videos of course, plus a board for the vigil speakers. Then quotes from the vigils that you can download and use for tweets, blogs, articles, etc. At the moment, each is just linked to the video the quote came from. As we get more time, we'll try to link to the exact place in the video. If someone wants to volunteer to help with that task, that'd be great. Tasty Tweets is a collection of timeless tweets if you've run out of stuff of your own to say. Find one that appeals and click on the Twitter link. You'll be taken straight to Twitter, where you can just retweet that tweet. How simple is that? Then you can sign petitions, help to get more awards for Julian and WikiLeaks, find graphics to download, and see lots of suggestions for getting advice. Here are things that other people have been doing, mostly picked up from their tweets. Your action can be here too if you bring it to our attention. This Pinterest page currently has more than 1,000 pins and we're just getting started. Recommend it to friends who want to know about Unity4J but don't want to come to Discord. This is another way to share our collective knowledge and resources. We hope you enjoy the Pinterest page, make it popular and use it a lot to improve public knowledge about Julian Assange, WikiLeaks and their fight for truth in journalism and justice in the world.
my dreams, I walk free in the city streets. 2,500 days plus 50 weeks, doing hard time for these WikiLeaks, trying to bring the truth out. Man, it only gets you heat, and then they gag you. You don't get to speak, and when you get the leak, they try to hit delete. The masses of the masses, they want the shit discreet. That's why my middle finger's up to these sick elites. Free speech, it's the freedom of press. Take your deepest, darkest secrets, never leave them unsaid. If I'm a thief, then I'm a thief for the people you dread. The people of the red, white and blue, you keep them in bed. Seeing the sheep, keep them asleep, deceiving the weak. Keep seeking the leaks till you cease, and I see your defeat. Until I'm deceased underneath a freezing red sheet. Become a dead man, then I hit the switch and release. When Goldman Sachs is your creditor, you kill the messenger. Stories axed by the editor, you kill the messenger. Pay to play on the regular, you kill the messenger. Need a solace, any questioners, you kill the messenger. And outside my window a figure quickly creeps. They dark as night like some motherfucking chimney sweeps. Whiskey with my Mickey keeps, dying in my kidneys weak. Silence in my risky tweets is what the grand jury seeks. I'm wanting peace like 7 years in Tibet. Now rest in peace like 7 years under threat. Cause I've released 7 vaults, they upset. They ended the rape sentence, but the US still insists to rest. I guess it's a sin to take the truth and disseminate. MLK to Gandhi, take aim and eliminate. And I don't say I'm great, just wanna say what's fake. But if they kill me, a million others will take my place. The CIA's post like a knife the sharpest. All hypocrisy, lies, and heartless. They want to stop me, my life make my heart quit. Cause democracy dies in the darkness. When Goldman Sachs is your creditor, you kill the messenger. Stories axed by the editor, you kill the messenger. Pay to play on the regular, you kill the messenger. Need a solace, any questioners, you kill the messenger. When the vote count is irregular, you kill the messenger. You caught spying on a senator, you kill the messenger. Removing voters from the register, you kill the messenger. Need a solace, any questioners, you kill the messenger. In my dreams, I walk free in the city streets. 2,500 days plus 50 weeks, doing hard time for these WikiLeaks, trying to bring the truth out. Man, it only gets you heat, and then they gag you. You don't get to speak, and when you get the leak, they try to hit delete. The masses of the masses, they want this shit discreet. That's why my middle finger's up to these sick elites. Playing on the regular, you kill the messenger. Free speech is the freedom of press. Take your deepest, darkest secrets, never leave them unsaid. If I'm a thief, then I'm a thief for the people you dread. The people want the red, white and blue, you keep them in bed. Seeking the sheep, keep them asleep, deceiving the weak. Keep seeking the leaks till you cease, and I see your defeat. Until I'm deceased underneath a freezer red sheet. Become a dead man, then I hit the switch and release. When Goldman Sachs is your creditor, you kill the messenger. Outside my window, a figure quickly creeps. They dark as night like some motherfucking chimney sweeps. Whiskey what my Mickey keeps, dying in my kidneys weak. Silence of my risky tweets, what the grand jury seeks. I'm wanting peace, like 7 years in Tibet. Now rest in peace, like 7 years under threat. Cause I've released 7 vaults, they upset. They ended the rape sentence, but the US still insists to rest. I guess it's a sin to take the truth and disseminate. And I'll pay the Gandhi, take him and eliminate. And I don't say I'm great, just wanna say what's fake. But if they kill me, a million others will take my place. The CIA's post like a knife the sharpest. All hypocrisy, lies, and heartless. They want to stop me, my life make my heart quit. Cause democracy dies in the darkness. Cause democracy dies in the darkness. You kill the messenger. You kill the messenger. Democracy dies in the darkness. Feeling cold now, I got the heater on. Feeling sold out, even though I'm keeping strong. But can I hold out when every bit of freedom's gone? They want me rolled out, never to sing freedom song. I wanna see the sky, I wanna feel the rain. But gotta keep away from windows, that's some window pane. It's just a shame, couldn't have planned out all our dreams. Now I'd scream, cause there's a man in the machine. But the train is off the tracks, and damn, it's losing steam. I wanna call Christine, I haven't seen since 013. I'm missing life like 3 strikes each night. Seems like 3 nights ain't right. Can't fight, space light, hate life. Wanting to be snake-like, shedding off this gray life. In the dark can't make light, but where I'm headed now is brake lights. Where I'm headed now they break lights. Counting days like brake lights, feeling weight like brake lights. Had a great life, brake lights, brake lights, brake lights. Out of place like brake lights, in my face like brake lights. Counting days like brake lights, brake lights, brake lights. Sit here asking, what have I done? If these strings were cut, I'd see my son. And if I could just fly from this place, then I'd hold you in my love embrace. And if I could just speak to you now, I'd renew my vow and be in the now. Is this me in denial? Wanna remove stress from your brow and pay you back some way, somehow. But it's painted black, can see the way back now. But how's the house and how's your mom? I doubt the way the media portrays me makes you hate me. But to think you see that daily makes me crazy, that just ain't me.
This is without a doubt going to be this generation's Free Mandela movement. Every single generation must fight again the same battles that previous generations have fought.
Brake lights, counting days like brake lights, brake lights, brake lights, brake lights, brake lights, brake lights. Brake lights, brake lights, brake lights.
Hi everybody, welcome to WikiBees. This is the second day in the row that Susie can't make it, unfortunately. Susie's still got the flu and she's completely lost her voice. So we're doing the best we can. We're somewhat undermanned, of course. There are other people also who are out. So this may well be a short session. We're going to start with continuing with the tutorial on our work platform that we all work on, which is called Discord. And then hopefully Nozomi Hayase will come in and talk a bit about the journalism that she's doing to help Julian, and maybe also the more general topic of scientific journalism that is a part of WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks gives us the unvarnished facts, and that's tremendously important in today's world, and that's part of the reason why Julian Assange is in such trouble, because WikiLeaks is exposing facts that people don't want to hear, especially those in power and especially people who are corrupt. So, yeah, this is a work session. It was quite good yesterday. People were learning how to use our Discord platform that we all work from, and I'll show you that very soon. People are watching on YouTube and on Periscope, and you're welcome to give comments and questions, particularly on the Zoom. Hi, Nozomi's here. She's just getting set up. I'm monitoring the YouTube channel, and I also have an app set up. I'll actually show you it, that shows all of the chat questions from all of the streams that are showing from YouTube and from Periscope. I'll just show you that now because it's quite cool. So that's all it is. Anyone can type a question from any of the channels and it shows up. So if you have a look near the top, propaganda, that's someone in a server, was asking me to tell people how to invite people onto the Unity for J Discord channel. And I actually didn't know how to do that. So I would actually like him to show us and talk me through it. So that's a part of it. There are some earlier questions. I'll show you the Discord channel. I'll move back to the Discord channel. Oops. Well, hold on. I'm in a private chat at the moment in Discord. I'll just get back to the main one. Okay, now I'll show you the Discord channel. Oh, okay. Yeah, so this is the Discord channel that we're all familiar with. This is where we work in Unity for J. We work together to help Julian Assange. And reminder from yesterday. In yesterday's session, we learned how to get onto the channel and some other basic things about it. And reminder that for example, at the moment, it's in the Twitter channel. It's got a whole lot of channels covering all of the topics that we work on. It's amazing, all the things. So these are all the translation channels. It's amazing. People can translate documents to or from every language. This is Te Reo Māori. I'll click on this. I'm very proud of this. Susie's very proud of this. This is the Indigenous language of New Zealand. And there you see some of the Indigenous language of New Zealand, Maori, being translated to and from Maori. This is Green River Alex Hills, one of our wonderful Unity for J people in New Zealand. She's the one with the violin, if you remember. Okay, so that's cool. So reminder, you scroll through these to get back to the channel that you want. I'm sort of a Twitter person, so I look for the Twitter channel. You tend to get familiar. Reminder that the bright ones are ones that have new messages. This shows that I've been in Twitter channel and there've been no new messages since that I was in here. So let's look at the new messages. Hope K has posted one of her tweets, which will probably be retweeted onto Wikibees. So let's see. There was an earlier question in the YouTube channel that I want to go back to from Stephanie. So I'm looking in the, no, I have to look in the YouTube channel. So the question from Stephanie was, several questions from Stephanie. Okay, I'll tell you what, one question Stephanie had that she asked me was, what does she do if she arrives in a channel, clicks on it, and there are a whole lot of new messages? How do you scroll up and down easily? And there's a scroll bar here, just like on your browser. So you can quickly go through and look at the old messages way back. It works just like a browser. So it's easy to go back to the old messages and then come forward to the latest messages. Hi Stephanie, that is Stephanie online. So this is just like a chat forum. So I say, hi Stephanie. I know she's online, but if I wanted to make absolutely sure she gets it, I do @ and then look for her name. Actually, because she's just typed me, it's easy to find it, but I can type. And she gets a flag right now that says I've replied to her message. So this is for easy to use. Why is Discord such a convenient channel with such wonderful features? The reason is that this is a gamer channel. So if you can think of all the technical nous that gamers have, you know the sort of people that gamers tend to be. They've built this channel for playing online games, video games, etc. For example, these are the people who are on. Kim.com isn't on at the moment, but he's on here often because he plays a lot of online games. He was the world champion in at least 2, I think. But everything that gamers do translates very nicely into a work platform. And so we've set up the Unity for J work platform. And the specific setup to make it nice for us is done by computer programmers within the movement here. And I think Joe Manji is in charge of that. He does an awful lot of work for this channel. And we progressively make it even nicer and nicer for people to use. If there's a feature of the channel that you want improved, you can just ask Joe, and he's a very nice guy and very capable, and he can actually change the channel to make it more convenient for you. So I can see that Stephanie's just typing me a message. Here it is. I know it seems basic, but you've helped me so much. Oh, thank you, Stephanie. Stephanie, you're welcome to ask me a message here or on YouTube. And let's see. I'll have a look on all the other channels and see who has any messages or any questions. So, I have a shout out to C. Blair. I'm new and learning, but I have a free Julian education event on Sunday in Louisville, Kentucky, boots on the ground. So that's a wonderful, thanks, C. Blair. That's wonderful. People are doing all sorts of things, and this movement, Unity for J, just encourages people and it enables people to work together. There are a lot of people working together around the world for Julian. We have, I believe at the moment, we have 2,800 people on this Discord channel. So let's see. Oh yeah, propaganda. Anyone see a glimpse of Julian today? He's rocking a nice beard. No one had seen Julian for 7 months since the embassy cut off his access to the outside world, which is terrible. But he's suing Ecuador for the violation of his human rights, and well, he should. And he appeared via video stream in their courts, I believe, in Ecuador. And someone showed a screenshot of that, and that's the first we've seen of Julian for 7 months. Just a blurry screenshot, so not much, but you could see that he's got a big beard now. Propaganda. Julian has a lot of strength and it's contagious. Oh, I could continue with this, but I would like to get back to Nozomi, who's sitting quietly there in the stream, I believe. If you're still there, Nozomi, I'll have a look. Okay, so we can continue with this. It's, as I say, it's going to be a short session today. Anyone's welcome to jump in, and I've invited some other people who are welcome to jump in, but last minute. Propaganda, I actually asked if you want to jump in, you're welcome to jump onto the Zoom, and then you can show us on the, like I've got it displayed here, you can show us how to invite someone from Discord, which I myself don't know how to do. So let's see what everyone else said. Okay, I'll show you one other thing that's quite very useful, in fact. So Stephanie asked me earlier how, as I said, how you quickly scroll up and down, and you use the scroll bar. But I was in a private message with her, so I couldn't show her like you see it now. So what I did was I got a screen like this, and I posted a screenshot of it. And so that's another very useful feature. I've got the screenshot in my computer. So pretend I need to send it to Stephanie right now. What I do is I click on the plus button, and it goes to my computer looking for a file that I can post. So this is some of my recent files from the WikiBees session. I'll see, there it is. This is a screenshot I took of the scroll bar. So I just open it, and it's getting ready to post a message to Stephanie. Hi, Stephanie. I'll actually find her and use her name, Stephanie Marcelia. Here is the screenshot again. So you can post files. You can post Word files, screenshots, images, probably videos, YouTube videos. Yes, I think so. But so here it goes. Press return, and there it is. She gets a nice message. It's small. You click on the message, and it zooms in a little bit. So that's a very helpful feature for sharing work on here. Someone asked yesterday if we can see the WikiBees sessions from here. No, that's just YouTube and Periscope. This work platform is mainly a chat platform. Okay, so I'll see if Propaganda has replied. In fact, I'll ask Propaganda if he's replied. At Propaganda. I could ask him on the YouTube chat, but I'll ask him here. So I'm trying to find his name. So I go @ ampersand, prop, there he is, Propaganda. Would you like to show us how to invite someone onto the Unity 4J Discord? Okay, so Propaganda will get a message right now. And hopefully he's online and he will reply online because I saw him on the YouTube channel. We can see right now, S. Celia is typing, so Stephanie is typing a reply to that. So I'll have another look at if anyone has any questions. Okay, someone has an ad, which I'm not going to pass on. There's a little bit of off-topic chat. Someone has a question that's not about it, but do you have a channel to play some online game on Discord? I'm sure there is. Discord, I think, is probably the main gaming channel platform. All right. Look, I've got a new mention. Whenever you get a new mention, you get the red bar here, and I'll click on that to see where it came from. It came from Introduce Yourself. And it's Stephanie Gonzalez. Bruce, can you help me? Hi. Stephanie Gonzalez. Yes. What is it? So that was, we were in the Twitter channel, but she was on the Introduce Yourself channel. And so immediately we were able to jump over to it. Yeah, as I wait for that, I'll just have a look at your other comments. People are talking about the screenshot of Julian Propaganda. It was really nice at least to see his face, Julian Assange's face. Made my heart melt. He's been in there for 7 months. Almost, it's a form of solitary confinement. And it's torture, according to the United Nations. More than 15 consecutive days of solitary confinement is torture by definition. 15 days, and he's been there for 7 months. On top of 6 years already in the embassy, not being able to leave the building. So it's really an assault on Julian's sanity and his life that's going on because he is the world's most successful publisher. And he says a lot of stuff and exposes a lot of stuff that powerful people don't want us to see. So that's why this movement is so important and urgent too. Sorry, here's Propaganda's reply from either YouTube or Periscope. I would love to, but I have company over and have to be social. I will join next stream. Okay, so next stream, which will be next Wednesday, US time. Propaganda, hopefully Susie will be back by then, I'm sure. And Propaganda will be able to join and show us how to invite someone from Discord. Okay, here's Stephanie with her question. Trying to find the hashtag where I can load pics and vids for docs. I do not see doco vids.
Bruce, if you want to invite someone on Discord, go up to where the Unity4J is on the top left. There's that drop down.
Oh, okay. So the voice you're hearing now is Ebon Kin. I don't know if you're appearing on screen. You wouldn't.
Yeah, go ahead and click on that.
Yeah, I'm at Unity4J.
Yeah, click. Left click.
Left click on it.
And there's invite people.
I go down there, invite people. Okay.
Yeah. I think only mods or someone with certain permissions are able to actually invite and have people accept, and they'll be able to come in. So you'll need, there might be certain credentials that are needed for people to invite and people to actually get in. But I don't know, aside from mods, what other group has that ability?
Okay. I don't know. Is Propaganda a mod? I don't know, but okay. So this may not work, but let's see how it works at least. So Ebon, so it can only invite someone who's on another channel already in another Discord platform, right? Or
you could invite anyone. I think there used to be a link in the description boxes, like on YouTube and elsewhere, and I think there used to be a link to go to the Discord Unity4J on the Unity4J website, but it's no longer there. It'd be good to have that there, so one of the first things people see when they go to Unity4J is that they have an invite to the the Unity4J Discord.
Okay. So I'm scrolling down, and the people I see are people I recognize who are already in Unity4J. So is this inviting them to come right now to the server?
That one I don't know, but basically, if you just want to invite anyone, you just copy the link at the very bottom. You see, or send a server invite link to a friend.
Yes.
So it's that purple button. If you click on that, it just copies it to your desktop, your clipboard, and then you can just paste it to whoever that you want to give the invite link to.
Okay. So this web address is the address of Unity4J, right? In detail.
Yeah, but it'll be different for each person. So if I got that link, it'll have a slightly different address.
So this isn't super helpful because someone new, you can just tell them to go to Unity4J, letter 4.com/Discord, right? And then that'll get them on. Actually, I can. Yeah, I don't think this is super helpful.
I wouldn't worry about that. The easiest thing would be just to point people to the Unity4J website and have that invite there in the front page of the website.
Okay. People are sending me comments here. I just say yes, thanks. I got the message. And Propaganda has sent me 4 personal messages, DMs, and he was okay yesterday with showing it. So hopefully, Propaganda, I'm not breaching any privilege if I press on the link. This is a conversation we had. Because he was trying to show me yesterday, and I said, I'm a bit slow at the moment trying to multitask. And he said, it's really important for recruiting more people. And I asked him if he wanted to come to Zoom. And these are his 4 new messages. Did you see that red 4 that appeared there? That appeared here? That's because he had 4. I meant more to share the link. I'm not a mod. I don't mean to invite. I mean to post the link to invite. Oh, you press the copy button. Okay. Yeah, that's what you showed, Yvonne. Okay, so you remember from yesterday. So I'm now in personal messages with Propaganda. He gave me permission yesterday, so I'm assuming it's okay. So now I want to get back to where I was in the Unity4J Discord server. So I click back on the Unity4J, and I'm back here. Somebody is, remember last time I said introduce yourself, so I go back to that one, and someone is typing me a message, or typing a message in the channel. So I'll check back again into the chat channel to see if anyone has any questions. Oh, sorry, I'll go back to Stephanie. Sorry, Stephanie. So Stephanie wanted to load pics and videos for documents. So it's based. I think, Stephanie, you're asking if this is like a storage facility, if there's a document like repository where all the documents are, and that would be not on here. That would be, there's a wonderful repository in Pinterest. Okay. Ebon sent me a message, so I stopped the share. So I'm back online. You might as well just, because Nozomi, two messages, hold on. I'm just checking message. I don't seem to get in for some reason. Do I need an ID or something? Nozomi's trying to get in. Because she was in earlier. I'm trying to get Nozomi in, excuse me. Here's the link again. I'm getting this.
Yes, that's Nozomi. Can you hear me?
Oh, cool. Hi. Okay, so hi Nozomi.
Hi.
How are you? We just had a short tutorial on Discord, but it would be really nice to talk about. Yesterday we talked about the video efforts that were going on, particularly Kathy Bogan was here talking about her Unity for J video that she's doing. And today I thought it would be nice to talk about some of the journalism efforts that are going on for Unity for J. I know you've written some articles on Unity for J. And in fact, you're a scholar on WikiLeaks, aren't you?
Yes.
You wrote your thesis on WikiLeaks?
Yes.
Yeah. And also you're part of an effort, as I understand it. I saw there was a meeting in San Francisco. You were there and Garrison was there.
Oakland, yes. Oakland, California, yes. The Bay Area, Oakland.
Oh, in Oakland, yes. Yeah. So do you have a group that's working on?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, there's a active group who are involved in KPFA, which is a local radio station in Berkeley. And KPFA actually, at the national level, just passed the resolution to support Julian Assange's freedom. So that's a big deal. And we had a meeting, educational meeting, to inform audience about what WikiLeaks is doing and why Julian Assange's freedom is very important and why it matters for all of us. So that was the meeting. And so that happened about a month ago. Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And it was a public meeting.
Yes, it was a public meeting.
Yeah. And was it a panel meeting or you had a succession of speakers?
Yes, it was a panel meeting. And so each presenters basically talked about their perspective on WikiLeaks and what WikiLeaks does. And yes, so I made a presentation about, what WikiLeaks is basically and how WikiLeaks can be seen as an invention of a new journalism, basically. So I personally wanted to bring out the larger perspective about the organization that has not been really talked about. So that was, something I personally did.
So a new journalism, I know like Simon Bloch, the philosopher from Australia, was also on the vigil, and he talked about the origins of WikiLeaks, which you'd be very familiar with back in, I think, 2010, is that correct?
2002? 2006, I believe.
Yes.
Well, Julian Assange wrote a seminal paper called Conspiracy at Governance, and which is very much the foundational philosophy, I would say, that really conceived the organization. And not many people actually read the paper or understood how WikiLeaks came about, and it's cypherpunks, origin of cypherpunks, which is a group of people who use strong cryptography as a way to bring social change. So I think that's very important to understand who Julian Assange is and how he's different than journalists, basically. I mean, the mainstream journalist.
Yes.
And I understand that there is, the United States government so far has been trying to differentiate Julian from journalists, and what the organization trying to differentiate what organization does from what mainstream media does, in order to basically prosecute what Julian has done. And so that the his legal team really, trying to argue that what WikiLeaks does is nothing different than the Washington Post or Guardian do. It's a very much journalistic activities, and then Julian actually does it in a much more efficient and excellent way. But I also think it's important for us to understand that what Julian does and what WikiLeaks does is actually much more than just journalism. And in fact, WikiLeaks was an activist organization. Initially, when WikiLeaks, Julian Assange stepped forward in 2010 to public limelight, he made it clear that WikiLeaks is an activist organization and its goal is justice, and the method is transparency. So we need to kind of understand how WikiLeaks is taking up the true meaning of free press. And then when we, the society have true free press, what would happen? And then what's the impact in our democracy? And I think WikiLeaks has shown in the most remarkable, beautiful way what, when journalism really functions, what would happen? And as we all seen, we have seen the empowerment of people around the world, revolutions and Arab Spring and the Occupy movement, all are sparked by the documents released by WikiLeaks.
Yes. Wow.
Mm-hmm. So it's a very much revolutionary. I think I'm actually currently writing an article about, trying to see what WikiLeaks has done in relationship to Gandhi's, the project of nonviolence, and Nelson Mandela's work to end apartheid in South Africa. And then in this country, in the US, what Martin Luther King did for the civil rights movement. And all those social movements, that's something that is the engine of WikiLeaks. So in many ways, Julian Assange has been regarded as a hero, in non-Western countries, whereas in the West, many people think that he's, maybe troublemaker, or in the US, especially during the 2016 presidential campaign, WikiLeaks, Julian Assange has been kind of seen as a spoiler of election, spoiler of democracy, and American people, especially on the left, are very much upset about, WikiLeaks currently. And, when we know that we don't have a democracy, and what WikiLeaks has done with these, Podesta emails and DNC leaks is to show American public what American democracy really is about. It's basically rigged game of a political charade. And American people, American public has been betrayed by their elected officials. And then, if anything, WikiLeaks did a great favor, to American public. So, I think it's, very important for us to understand the WikiLeaks roots is really the cypherpunks, and it has it has agenda to create justice, bring justice and urge social change.
Oh, wow, that's cool. And it's the cypherpunks. I'm saying, like, Julian's background, like as a teenager, he was a hacker, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So is the cypherpunks connection that is required to facilitate leaking the material? Is that why the cryptography is required?
Well, cryptography is required because of first of all, encryption technology allows anonymous communication. And WikiLeaks also is run on free software Tor, which is an anonymizing tool that basically anonymize interaction so that anyone can submit materials without their identity being traced. And that was the invention at the core of WikiLeaks, which is known as the anonymous, secure anonymous Dropbox, which is now incorporated into many mainstream medias. But it was really WikiLeaks that pioneered this technology. And that actually has a root in cypherpunks, as I said. And the cypherpunks, as I said, they are political. They engage in the computer science, but they are not detached academic researchers or mathematicians. They use, their knowledge to advance social good. So they are politically motivated. So that's different than just the computer scientist who try to be more detached and what they do, or their knowledge is more about writing a thesis or more remains in the theoretical domain. But cypherpunks really take that knowledge into action and then really create a non-democratic, non-violent democratic weapon, which Julian Assange wrote Guardian article about that, saying that how cryptography can be used as a non-violent democratic weapon to empower ordinary people.
Wow. So when you say social justice, is that any particular political philosophy, or is it more the absence of corruption?
Right. Julian made it clear that cypherpunks, many of the cypherpunks are Californian libertarians, but Julian made it clear that he's not he's not a libertarian, and he defines the human struggle as not left versus right, but individuals versus institutions. So for him, he would look at the system of control and oppression at the world scale, and a systematic one. And that's what he described in his paper, Conspiracy of Governance. It's the patronage network of governments and corporations that conceal information, and then in secret, they set up the agenda. And as long as they can remain secret, they can advance their agendas, because there is, people don't know what they're doing. So that they conspire, behind the facade of democracy, so that people, especially in the West, we think that we have free speech, we have, free press and democracy. That's why this force of oppression become invisible. And in China, for instance, in a country like China or Russia or Iran, everybody knows. The people there knows that their government is engaged in oppression. That the government is, their media is just basically act as a propaganda machine. They know it. But yes. What's dangerous about Western society is that we don't know it. We think we have democracy. That's why when the force of control is invisible, how can we resist against it? So what Julian Assange did through WikiLeaks is to really reveal this force of control. So that was quite shocking for, of course, the people in the West. And then that's why it's a kind of a reaction, especially in the US, since the materials relating to Hillary Clinton's campaign, the reaction in the U.S. with Americans that it's hard, it's a painful reality for them to face, right? Because they believed in democracy, they thought they had democracy, and then for them to realize that they don't, and then so that it's easy for them to blame Russia, for instance, or country like China, saying, "Oh, they don't have democracy, but we have democracy. Here in America, we have democracy," right? So, to be revealed, what we have, which is facade democracy, pretense democracy, which is painful for many of us to realize, and be willing to accept the truth and do something about it, So, so I think that the, WikiLeaks significance really is to, remove this mask of Western liberal democracy and to really show us what it is really about. Then we saw this beast inside the civilization, beast inside the Western civilization, so that we tend to think, we in the West think that we are civilized, right? So we think that we are civilized with these Enlightenment values, and uncivilized savages are out there in the Middle East, or savages are, Native Americans that we genocide, savages are African Americans, all of those things that we could project, attributes that we don't want to look at that exist within ourselves, and then here WikiLeaks basically revealed this beast that hide inside the Western civilization, and it was shocking in some ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, what they say is that the US drops a bomb every 12 minutes.
Right.
So is that civilized? Not really.
No. And in fact, it was Julian with the publication of the Colorado Matter video, which depicted the US Apache helicopter gunning down innocent civilians in the street of New Baghdad, right? Yes. And he asked the question, are we civil? Are we civil? That's a question. And the Western civilization had been acting as a monologue, never been accounted for their crimes and never been checked for, what they have done. And now, decades later, here, Australian citizen working with US whistleblower Chelsea Manning asked that question at the global scale. And we haven't heard the answer yet because the US government engaged in this, deflecting people from looking at the truth and really confronting with what was revealed through the document to really see the real image of modern war, and before American people wake up and really confront with the image, this disinformation and smearing of Julian Assange and character assassination, all those things just trying to bury the image that has been liberated. So, we Americans especially have the responsibility to answer that question. Are we civil? And that answer has not been, made. So I think, what WikiLeaks has done, they have been critiqued about, the WikiLeaks is against U.S. ideals, or this Julian is trying to destroy American democracy. He's a traitor. All those things thrown around at him. But I have to say, Julian Assange, in my opinion, is someone who stood for the ideals that founded this country, and he is, he's not a U.S. citizen, but I think he really upheld the real, the foundation of this country. And ideas in the Declaration of Equality and Liberty. So he is very patriotic in a sense, even though he's not American, but I would say, he is more American than all of us, So it's such, So from that point of view, I want American people especially to understand who Julian Assange is. He, if anything, he really defend our values. And he took personal risk to do this. And then now U.S. government is going after him, calling WikiLeaks as basically like saying non-hostile, what is it? The hostile intelligence agency? Yes. Right, non-state hostile intelligence agency. Yes. And then Jeff Sessions, Attorney General of Trump administration, saying that Assange's arrest is a priority, right? Yes. I mean, so if you really think about it, it's just ridiculous, for U.S. government to, first of all, U.S. government to engage in a war against the First Amendment. The First Amendment, I grew up in Japan and I thought that the First Amendment is one thing that United States brought, to the world as an example. And now this country is destroying its ideals that founded this nation,
Yes.
So I think Americans should be outraged about Assange's plight, how Assange has been treated, now put in solitary confinement in an Ecuadorian embassy for more than 6 months. I mean, it's been 7 months. He has been cut off from the outside world, and this has been done by the pressure by the United States and Spain, So, American people have to really recognize, have to understand what's going on, and really unite in solidarity to free Julian Assange. I say that freeing Julian Assange, working to free Julian Assange is the most patriotic things that American people can ever do right now.
Yes. So, I mean, a lot of it is distraction, isn't it? The mainstream media talking about trivialities and elbowing out the conversation that you're talking about that's so important. So, I mean, that's why I like Unity for J as a movement and what you're doing and what everyone's doing, which is just speaking about it and putting it to the front.
Yes.
Yes. So I want to, I know you have a strong philosophical background, right? Yes. So is Julian Assange a humanist?
I mean, how do you define humanist?
Well, I thought it was a philosophical movement. You put me on the spot here. I wanted you to do that part. People are people, that if someone's in Yemen, they're not worth any less than someone in one of the Western liberal democracies, basically. Because
I mean,
yes.
Well, if you look at the Julian Assange, I mean, I think he's a champion of the oppressed. He always concerned about people struggling, ordinary people's struggle for independence. And just before his internet was cut off, he had been following, he had been actively advocating for Catalonians' struggle for independence and their nonviolent resistance against police brutality and the Spanish central government's oppression. So I would think that, and he does this regardless of nationality, race, gender. I mean, he does this for everyone, so that makes WikiLeaks as a transnational organization. It really works for everyday people around the world. And I think that his organization really embodies, real humanist, the idea of all men and women are created equal, right? Yes. I would think that ideal is a very humanistic ideal.
Yes. So that's expressed in the Constitution. And the Constitution...
And the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
Yes.
That is the Constitution, yes.
And the US Constitution, it's expressed only for American citizens because that's their administrative scope, isn't it? But it's part of the philosophy that extends to everyone in the world.
Of course, definitely. Yeah. I mean, that's WikiLeaks has actually done it because WikiLeaks distributed the First Amendment to people around the world. Now, anyone around the world, regardless of their jurisdiction that they live under, they can access and to the right to free speech. Fully, So, I mean, that's, if you look at what WikiLeaks has done, it's, you could see how Julian Assange walks the talk. He's not just talking about free speech. He's actually giving it. He's liberating free speech that has been captured by the corporate state in the US and giving to all the people around the world. So, that makes me, I think, makes Julian Assange be a real hero. Yes. Real hero is someone who walks the talk and takes the risk and demonstrate extraordinary courage. And he has done all of that. So yes. I would consider him, as, he's like Gandhi or Nelson Mandela or Martin Luther King.
He sacrificed himself, hasn't he?
Right. And that's why he is now silenced.
Yes.
And become a political prisoner.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So you said, I want to come back because I was interested in the libertarian, the cypherpunks, the libertarian. Where are the cypherpunks now?
Where?
Yes. I mean, what is the state of their movement and how close are they to WikiLeaks at the moment?
Well, I mean, cypherpunks are involved in Bitcoin, for instance, stateless cryptocurrency, decentralized currency, cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. Yes. And, cypherpunks, they work under the radar. They are not kind of people who get on the media and then talk about things, or they don't do interview, and they are very kept very private for reasons, but they work quietly behind the scenes to make changes. They write code, and the motto of cypherpunks is that they write code. So they're busy writing code, whether it's a Bitcoin or new other technologies, so we don't see them in public perhaps, but they are the ones who actually quietly making changes. And Julian was like that. Julian was courage enough, because WikiLeaks needed someone to speak for the organization as a media organization. So he stepped up to become, basically attached to his face and name with the organization, and took enormous risk to protect the rest of people who working for WikiLeaks. So, he could have remained anonymous and doing quietly, making changes, but he didn't for reasons. But cypherpunks are here.
Yes. And in the early days that you were talking about, like 2006, was it was Julian Assange as part of the cypherpunks?
Yes, so he joined the cypherpunks were active in late 90s as a email mailing list, where they basically exchanged the conversation, and mainly they were interested in privacy. They wanted to ensure right to privacy. And privacy is also a fundamental part of First Amendment, because without having privacy, right, how can we actually freely speak? If we are afraid of the consequence of our speech, then we can't quite freely speak. So privacy was important part of the First Amendment, even though it was not stated. U.S. Constitution, for instance, the Bill of Rights, the First Amendment doesn't include the privacy, right? It's not, privacy is not listed under the First Amendment, but it is a very important part of it. And so cypherpunks really understood the importance of privacy. So they were very much trying to ensure right to privacy through technical means. And then Julian joined the mailing list in 1995. So that's where you see how he was active as a cypherpunks. And he, wrote a book, Cypherpunks. What was the name of the title of the book? I have one, but he wrote a book about cypherpunks. And yeah.
So that's 23 years ago. Wow. 18 and 5.
No, because now 2018, so it's 1995. That would be.
Yeah, 18 and 5.
Yeah.
23 years.
Right. Yeah.
And he's 40. How old is he now? 47, maybe.
I don't know.
Okay, so 47, 23. He was in his early 20s then at that stage. Okay. And cypherpunks was mainly a Californian movement, you say, at that time?
No, it's a not just California, but largely, I think, in California.
Yes.
But it's a global movement.
Yes. And when you say they were libertarians,
many of them are, yeah.
Many of them are, okay. So I struggle with the word libertarians, actually, because there are like economic libertarians and there are social libertarians. You're talking about, I suppose, social libertarians. Is that right?
Or like anarcho-capitalist, kind of, believe in the force of capitalism, maybe. I mean, for California libertarians, they want to have free market ideas, and they were against the monopoly of government monopoly and regulation of the market. So they wanted to free the market and then have the free market solve problems. That's kind of one idea of one stream of libertarians, I think.
Yes,
and they also believe, the American ideals of liberty and equality. That's also too.
Yes, but you said Julian separated himself from that.
Right. He said, yeah, he's not a California libertarian. He's different, and I can see how he's different. I mean, he's not really, you know, if you look at it, I don't see him having rigid ideology, whether it's socialism or capitalism. He doesn't subscribe to that, you know, and he also doesn't subscribe to this left versus right politics. You know, he offers analysis about politicians in a very honest manner by looking at their actions. And so I don't think that, you know, his analysis or assessment of political leaders are based on any political ideology at all. And in fact, that he you know, made it clear that, you know, he doesn't think either, you know, Clinton or Trump are a good candidate for United States. And that's not his personal opinion. I mean, he was more objective, you know, looking at who they are and how the system makes them to behave in a certain way. So, you know, so I think that's I think personally, I respect that admire that about him, you know, that he doesn't subscribe to any political ideology, which is there, you know, and has a larger view beyond the political, you know, what's happening in the politics. And if you look at, if you read many of the writings that he has done, he talks about civilization and humanity. He uses the term civilization. He's concerned about the direction of civilization. He talks about how now internet has virtually became a civilization. You know, everything moved into digital, so that you know, now internet is what happens on the internet determines the future of civilization. And I haven't, you know, really known people who are able to talk about or concerned about humanity at large, you know, not just this nation or not this political group, but for the whole entire, you know, civilization, whole entire world, you know, and the concern about the future of humanity. I mean, that's very remarkable, in my opinion, that he has a, you know, really bigger perspective and not just looking ahead to, you know, just 5 years ahead, but much, much bigger, you know. So that makes him be, I mean, extraordinary, in my opinion.
So that's something separate from him being like the world's best publisher, most important publisher. He's gone beyond that as well to be a philosopher and social analyst, one of the most important.
Yes, definitely. I would think that, you know, he should be remembered not just the excellent journalist, but he should be remembered as revolutionary, as prophet, you know, as, you know, genius of our time. You know, I mean, I think that to just define him simply as a good journalist is, I think it's a kind of mischaracterization of him in some ways, you know. I think we have to truly recognize who he is. And then we understand why Julian Assange has been subject to so much political retaliation and attacks from powerful governments. We now understand why, you know. It's not just because, you know, we talked about, you know, the tragedy happening, injustice happening to Julian Assange at the heart of London, as, you know, this injustice being done to Western journalists. But no, you know, it's not just because he's a Western journalist who published the material that, you know, really exposed the corruption of government. But no, because he has a vision for future. He has a vision for humanity. And he has ability to speak to young people, you know, speak to a new generation of youth who grew up on the internet. He can talk to them directly. And these people who, you know, young people who are coming in now, they have the values of transparency for the powerful and privacy for the individuals. They have this value of sharing and you know, empathy and compassion and conscience, you know, and they care about democracy. They instinctively know, these young people who grew up on the internet, they instinctively know, you know, the importance of freedom online, for instance. And you know, Julian Assange can directly talk to them and then can engage them in a way that we never seen before, you know, and create a large social movement that really, really makes huge difference in the world. And that's why the power, that's, those in power are afraid of Julian Assange, afraid of his voice. And that's why people, everyone have to speak up for him, have to speak up, his vision, share his vision, share his ideas as much as we can, then we will speak for him while he's silenced, So in many ways, I think that our effort to free Julian Assange, is have to become a global movement to really open a new society.
Yes. I'm just looking at some of the comments following YouTube, and as you go along, there's a lot of, there's a lot of praise for you and your view. I'll just read a little bit. Let's see. Someone said you have encyclopedic knowledge. It's just a little bit of praise. Is there a link to her thesis, to your thesis?
You can, it's in the search engine. I mean, you could type, let's see. I can send you the link.
Put it on Twitter with Wikipedia.
Yes, I will.
And also that paper from 2006, the seminal paper from Julian from a long way back. Is that online? That must be online.
Yes, it is online. And I heavily quoted in my dissertation, yes, but it's online.
Yeah.
You can,
if you could send us a link to that.
It's like, I think it's a short paper. It's like maybe 7 pages, 5 pages maybe. It's
yes.
Short. Yes, you can definitely read it, and you can see his, his brilliant mind.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There are a couple of other, you're talking about his analysis. I think part of it, he's a brilliant mind, absolutely brilliant mind.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And he has the knowledge base. He has pretty much the world's best knowledge base of what's going on, doesn't he?
Yeah, definitely. Yes. And he really connected his knowledge with his will. So, he really, it's not just the knowledge, he uses his knowledge for social good. He connect, he does act on what he knows. So, that makes him, special, right? I mean, we have brilliant scholars and philosophers, but they produce knowledge, but that's it, right? Maybe they inspire people with their knowledge, but they don't really act on it. Sometimes you see completely different picture, somebody talk about brilliant ideas, but they don't really act on it.
Yes.
Right? So I think, as I said, Julian really walks the talk. And
yes.
that is, for me, the sign of real revolutionary.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Because and then he takes risks and faces the consequence of that risk. It's not like he didn't know what would happen to him if he has done what he did. He fully knew, the risk that he's taking, and he chose to do it. So we have to recognize that, and that's simply remarkable. I mean, that should be the inspiration for all of us.
Yeah, there's a quote from his Australian lawyer. What's her name? I forget her name.
Jennifer Robinson.
Yes. That she does a very nice quote that he knew exactly what he was doing, and he said, do you remember the quote? You know what I'm talking about, right? Or maybe there are a lot of quotes that you're familiar with. That he said, if I release this, they're going to hound me.
Oh, right. Yeah, like chase after him till the end of the earth or something, like the corner. I remember.
Yeah, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah, so he knew exactly. It's not like, and not just the Julian Assange. I mean, if you look at Sarah Harrison of WikiLeaks, I mean, she has also demonstrated extraordinary courage. I mean, she knew exactly what would happen to her, and then she risked her life to save Edward Snowden in Hong Kong. Yes. So, WikiLeaks really demonstrates tremendous courage. And as the organization motto goes, courage is contagious, and we are seeing courage is becoming contagious around the world. And I consider myself to be someone who was inspired by WikiLeaks and testimony of, what ordinary person can do, I mean, So it's and then you too, you are here stepping up and support in support of Julian Assange and speaking up. I mean, so I think people are empowered and inspired by this organization, and their life, our life have changed,
Yes.
and
Yes.
I mean, that made us a stronger person.
Yes.
So it's a transformation, not just a social political transformation, but psychological, personal, spiritual transformation for all of our lives.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What was the one moment when you? I know there's a moment for me when I was thinking maybe I shouldn't speak up about this. It was when Kim.com was raided in New Zealand by like a military raid on his family, and just immediately afterwards there was like, the FBI doesn't have much to do with it, and there was, I think, a YouTube video with someone who looked like very much FBI connection, and I was going to post online, that person looks pretty much like FBI, and I thought maybe that's something that I shouldn't write, and then you come to realization that either you stay quiet and then you always be quiet, or you speak out and then you always speak out.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. I mean, I think that one hand that we have, permission-free speech. That's what I call, permission-free speech. That we don't really have free speech, right? Free, as long as the free speech that we have in this country, for instance, is that as long you can speak freely as much as you want, as long as you don't piss off those in power, right? So that is permission speech. It's conditional free speech, and so we have one hand we have that external restriction of free speech, but we also have self-censorship. We psychologically we self-censor our speech, so that WikiLeaks basically removed that restriction given to free speech, so that now we have right to free speech. We can exercise our right to free speech if we want to, but many of us haven't overcome our internal oppression, so that we self-censor ourselves. So like you said, before we have idea when we want to support someone, we want to support Julian Assange maybe, but then there's somewhere in our head saying, no, you shouldn't do this, and so that we self-censor, so that we have to overcome that self-censorship, and learn to speak freely, and with courage, and speak about something that matters to us, and that requires courage.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And that's, I think, our job really is to recognize what Julian has done, Julian has given to all of us, which is our right to free speech. Now we have to start exercising it. We have to overcome our tendency to self-censor ourselves, self-censor our voice, and step up to really exercise our right to free speech. And we can actually start doing it in our support of Julian Assange. In our effort to free Julian Assange, we can start exercising this right to free speech and speak, for his freedom. And, that requires us to speak against those in power, say things that, that those in power don't like,
Yes.
So that's a good, I think this is a good practice for us to do.
Yes. There's a recent phenomenon that the media platforms like Twitter and YouTube are starting to ban people for what looks like free speech activity.
Yes.
That's like recent months. It so shocked me, Caitlin Johnson, who's...
has been suspended, right? Her Twitter account has been suspended.
Yes. And then so many people kicked up a fuss that she got it back, but she just wrote an article just recently saying, I wanted to write a powerful article on this particular political topic. I self-censored myself because so many platforms have just been banned from Twitter and YouTube. Right. So it seems like it's a time-sensitive issue. We either all speak out and make it overwhelming, or the trend is going in the other direction otherwise, isn't it?
Yes, and then that's why I think, again, we have to create our own social media. We have to create if Twitter that's engaging censorship, we don't have to use Twitter. We can create a new avenue,
Yes, I hope so.
Yeah.
Kim.com wants to create one.
Right.
He talked
Right.
I hope so. Shout out to Kim.com if you're there.
Right. So yeah, I'm sure he can do it. Yeah, he has done so many other amazing stuff. Yeah.
Another thing that I think it's also time sensitive. Julian Assange was talking about certain issues that were really, really important. That is why I also hate that he's being silenced, which was, he talked a lot about the power of Google in particular.
Yes.
And
Google basically became, Google is now technically the US State Department. The Google has very cozy relationship with State Department. So Google really influences the US foreign policies, and then Julian, wrote a book. When Google made WikiLeaks, no? That's the name of the book. Yeah, I highly recommend you reading it. I have one. It's really good. And that's the basically record of his conversation with Google's CEO chairman back then, Eric Schmidt.
Yes.
And so it's a hours-long conversation, a transcript of the conversation. There, it reveals, how Google is politically involved. And in fact, Google actually subpoenaed the WikiLeaks associate Gmail account without informing them. Aware of that, yeah. So they are working for the US government. That's obvious.
Yeah, that's what woke me up. What you're referring to, that Eric Schmidt invited Julian Assange and said, let's have a chat. And
so he wrote a book. He and then another person who was involved in Google. I forgot his name, but they wrote a book called New Digital Age. New Digital Age, and then that was kind of like where Eric Schmidt shared his vision of how internet can be used to manage democracy. Basically, he's saying how to facilitate democratic society, but basically his idea is to centralize the internet, and then we will kind of exert control. So it's kind of like his vision of digital age is to manage a democracy. And then that is contrasted with Julian Assange's vision of the future. So it's interesting to see the contrast,
The complete opposite, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I haven't read a physical book, but that is, it must have been an online article. Maybe Julian's written an online article or online articles that are similar, or the experts.
I think the excerpt, some portion of it is available online for free.
That's what I must
I believe, yeah.
Yeah, I hope. If I can find the link for it, I'll post it. Also, if you can, that would be wonderful.
Yes, I will send you a link. Yeah, I have a digital copy. Yeah, digital copy. Maybe I can share with you.
It's absolutely amazing reading if anyone can read it. I remember, Julian would be talking to him and say, "Well, is this your plan?" And Eric Schmidt would say, "No, it's bigger than that." And then Julian would say, "Well, is this your plan?" And Eric Schmidt would say, "No, it's bigger than that."
Right, yeah.
And because the other thing about Google is that they're perhaps the most aggressive in promoting artificial intelligence.
Oh, yes.
Which is another topic that Julian was starting to speak out on.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he's someone who understands the danger of artificial intelligence and how it can be used by giant tech companies like Facebook, Google, and then how right now the algorithm actually controls the social media, but he's talking about how with AI, then it become much more subversive. Like, you cannot ever become aware of the control happening because it's underneath our perception, you know. And then they are the one who dictate, so it's kind of like they are going to control. It's basically mind control, right? They're actively control our perception. And now, even now, we are being controlled. We have managed a democracy, and then media act as a mouthpiece for power, and they basically engage in distortion of information and manage our perception. But then with the AI, it's gonna become, the AI would take it to the next level, where it's no longer humans. It's machines that dictates. So yeah, it's going to be, I don't know, it's like sci-fi, science fiction kind of reality, I guess. I mean, machine is going to take over, right? It's no longer human. Yeah.
I mean, I follow it very closely because I'm very worried. There's a movie that Elon Musk sponsored and was in, I forget the name again. I'd like to post it, but Elon Musk is one of the people warning the most, and it just takes off AI. It gets super intelligent, and then it builds on itself.
But he made it clear that we need to democratize this technology, artificial intelligence. He's against the monopoly of artificial intelligence. So as I understand,
Julian,
Elon Musk.
Yes.
Yeah. So he knows that. I mean, he indicated that we are moving into. It's inevitable for us to have AI. In the same way, like we now have internet, and we cannot undo this innovation. We now have AI, so we have to now find a way to, somehow live with it, right? But for him, he wants to democratize this technology. He thinks this is too dangerous for that technology to be in a few hands. So he wants, to make it open source and available. So I think that it's important for us to kind of start talking about, the future, who controls this intelligence. And then I don't remember which documents, but one of the documents released by WikiLeaks about Hillary Clinton, where Hillary Clinton talks about AI too. Yeah, I mean, I didn't. Yeah, so that's something that we could maybe investigate more and see, what political leaders think about AI.
I kind of think of them as not being at the vanguard. I think people like Julian Assange being at the vanguard, and everyone, like I asked Kim.com online, I think it was part of the vigil, I asked a question in chat, what do you think of the future with AI? And Kim.com's well aware of it. He said, there are going to be dark times ahead. So I think we only have a few years. I mean, Elon Musk says 5 years at max, I think, or something like that.
Right.
And so, I mean, part of that is we have to civilize, coming back to the civilization thing, we have to civilize as a society before we get managed this AI, so by AI, so that we have a grounding.
Exactly, right.
Because if it's politics as usual with the war machine carrying on.
Right. I mean, the drone machines, I mean, that's, everything now is basically done in the computer, right? So then soldiers don't have to fight. Nobody get killed. I mean, soldiers don't have to risk their lives. They could just sit behind screen and then just, control drones like a video game, right? So that's where we are going. I mean, so I think that it's important for us to connect with our body and connect with our humanness. And again, the conscience of whistleblowers, they are the ones who kind of open up the avenue for us to regain our humanity, because we live in a very much psychopathic society where, we don't feel anything, right? We don't feel remorse. We don't see the consequence of our actions anymore. And, wars may be happening overseas, but American people don't really care, or they don't really, because they don't see the image the real image of modern war, you know, WikiLeaks is the only one that brought us that uncensored image. But mainstream media, they don't really reveal that truth. So, you know, people in America, you know, we could just go on thinking that wars are not happening, right?
Yes.
And especially the last president, President Obama, under President Obama, I think, you know, progressives, I mean, they could act as if, you know, we don't have wars. In fact, Obama has engaged in more wars than the other president, you know. Yeah. So yeah, and in fact, he got Nobel Peace Prize while he was engaged in war in Afghanistan. I mean, that was just crazy, right?
Because he wasn't Bush.
Yeah, war is peace, right? I mean, peace is war. I mean, that's Orwell's doublespeak. And then because of just progressive image of the president, we could kind of pretend that U.S. is not engaged in all of those crimes. I mean, yeah. So we have to, I think, connect with our own humanity, and for that, you know, we depend on the conscience of whistleblowers, because they are the ones that you know, they act out of, you know, they really connect their knowledge with their heart, you know, because it's their heart that feels the pain and suffering of other people, and that makes them to act. So out of courage, right?
Yes,
right. So without a conscience, without our ability to feel, without our ability to empathize with other people, you know, we are doomed as a species, right?
Yes.
So yeah, we have to connect. You know, we have to reconnect with what makes us human. Yes. And again, you know, WikiLeaks really created an avenue for, you know, whistleblowers to act out of conscience.
Yes.
Yeah, conscience, you know, what makes us human really came forward.
Yes.
And we are allowed to feel, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I apologize to people in the streams with the comments I've been getting behind, because I've been like so fascinated with talking with you. I'll just read one or two. Cliff Wallace has a question. What do you recommend social-wise? I'm not sure. Social-wise, I'm not sure. He's asking what should you do. I have a problem here with this new chat thing, because it scrolls off the page. So I just read it before it scrolls. Kat Gandhi says, I purchased Nozomi's book, WikiLeaks, The Global Fourth Estate, History is Happening. She offers a free e-version on her website. Looking forward to reading it. So I suppose that's another link so that's separate from your so you've written a book, actually.
Yes.
WikiLeaks, The Global Fourth Estate, History. What year is that?
Yeah, this year.
Wow.
Oh, I mean, it's basically the collection of my articles that I've written for the last 8 years. You know, when I first started to write on the topic of WikiLeaks, I didn't realize that how long it's going to take. And after 8 years, I just realized that what I was doing, or what I was writing about, was I basically documented the war against the First Amendment that is declared by the United States government, and you know how the WikiLeaks has become as an organization was fighting on the front line of history that is happening. So I think it's kind of, I would say it's an ordinary person's account of history for the last 8 years. And of course, I didn't think that I would be writing history when I started to write on this topic. So it's kind of interesting how, you know, it turned out that way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh well, you're not quite an ordinary person. I mean, you've dedicated. You've really understood the topic, and
well, I mean, I for me, Julian Assange, he's someone that, you know, I think that in some ways, when I understood who Julian Assange is and what WikiLeaks is, it really made me feel I'm a normal person, you know, because growing up, I was always felt that there's maybe something wrong with me. I couldn't fit quite well, you know, in this society, because I always felt that there's something wrong, the injustice and oppression going on there, and that need to be, you know, countered. And so that made me always not be able to fit in, so to speak, you know. And so I always felt I was a crazy person, or I'm not a normal person. And then when I discovered Julian Assange and his work, it's totally made sense to me. And then in some ways, he made me feel I'm not the only one. No, I'm not a strange or crazy person. So many people might think that he's just crazy or he's, you know, troublemaker. But I think things he does make sense. That's common sense, you know. So I mean, so it's nice to really, you know, throughout last 8 years, it's nice to get to know who he is through his writing and then through his work. Yeah.
Yes. So reading these comments, I don't know this. Anyone heard of the Diaspora Project for Social Media Alternatives? Does that ring a bell?
What is it?
The Diaspora Project.
Diaspora. Yes. Diaspora. Yeah.
I don't even know what it is.
Yes, I know. I mean, I understand. As I understand, it was I think back in 2013 or somewhere around that time, there was a group of people who tried to create alternative social media networks to Facebook, and that's Diaspora. And at that time, they were still working on it. And then I'm not sure if they launched it, but I know that there is alternative social media called Mind.
That's right, the Mind, yes.
And that allow you to, encrypt communications, and it's different than Facebook. But I'm not sure if Diaspora actually took off.
Okay. I mean, Facebook is crazy by now.
Facebook is spying machine. I mean, that's what, again, Julian said, Facebook is a, you know, largest spying machine that ever existed in our history. I mean, so it's basically spying machine.
Yes. And socially manipulative too.
Yes, right, yeah.
Let's see, any more comments? Obama was a disappointment. Okay, that's fair enough. This is Ebon Kim. Natural intelligence is consciousness that can expand further than one's own surroundings. Artificial intelligence refuses to see past that. Okay. Hope. This is Hope K, who's one of the prominent people in Unity for J. AI is not empathetic. That's what makes it so dangerous.
Yes. And also, I would say Churchill Manning has a lot to say about AI. So one of her interests is about, you know, where AI technology goes. And so, you know, if you have a chance to go to her, you know, speak, or if some of the events that she hosts, you know, ask her some questions.
Yes.
She's really into it. She takes up that as an important topic. So.
And she's an important voice on that, you think?
Yes, right. Mm-hmm.
Let's see. This is chat for WikiBees. Oh, that's Ann Garrison. Come on, Ann Garrison. You've got the link to, I posted you the link to the Zoom if you want to come on, Ann. Yes, it is. It is Ann. I invited Ann on as well, and I think you're interested, Ann. So yeah, come right on, Ann. The link is in. Oh, okay. Ann asked again, what's the name of the book? So if you could give the name of the book again.
What book?
Your book.
Oh, WikiLeaks, the Global Forces State, History is Happening.
Thank you. And of course, you can post a tweet on that.
Yes.
Would be great, yes. Oh, great. Look, I tweeted out a link to the book, Bruce King. That's Kat. Oh, I also apologize to people. I'm supposed to be monitoring the Wikibees hashtag on Twitter, and I just haven't been doing it. So there are 16 new results. Sorry, I will promote them to the Unity for J account when I get some time. I can't.
You can read it. You can download it for free on my website. So it's my website. Link to my website is on my Twitter account. So you could go there and then read.
I just also wanted to mention that it looks like the cover design is by Somerset Bean, who also does a lot of artwork.
He did a great job. Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
He's amazing. He's a wonderful artist.
Yes.
Monday 11111. Oh, can Nozomi summarize her conclusions? Wow. Do you want to? I don't know. I thought it was all very interesting. I don't know. Maybe you can. Well, I don't know. Let's see.
Summarize my conclusion. Well, summarize my conclusion is, we really need to work together to free Julian Assange. I mean, that's just simple message I have, and to understand what WikiLeaks does, and for that we have to dig deeper because mainstream media doesn't tell us what WikiLeaks does. So we have to dig deeper to really understand what WikiLeaks does, and not just to of course you can look at the materials that have been published by WikiLeaks, but also the philosophy behind it and how WikiLeaks works in terms of how WikiLeaks created scientific journalism and how it's different than the modern journalism. Comparing these two would be a really good one also. So we have to do extra. We have to make extra miles to understand what this organization is about. Just because the massive disinformation to discredit WikiLeaks and Julian Assange. Mm-hmm.
So your book, I mean, it sounds like required reading, and you've pointed to a couple of articles and papers from Julian that people should just read.
Right.
Are there any other references that?
I mean, this one also the WikiLeaks files. So this is the book also. This is really good. Especially Julian wrote the introduction for this book. Well, this is really good. I think this should be a required book for all social science and political science classes in college. Yeah.
Where does that come from? Who is the author of that?
That's Julian. Julian wrote this. The WikiLeaks files, The World According to U.S. Empire, Introduction by Julian Assange. WikiLeaks and Empire. It's very informative, and so he the first it's so for instance part 1 is America and the Dictators and Human Rights, War and Terrorism, and it goes on. It's very informative book. I highly recommend if you want to get to read this.
So when it says introduction by Julian Assange, is it a compilation of papers that he's curated?
He has written specifically for this book.
It's all his stuff.
Yes. This was published in 2015.
2015.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I think, and then Sana Harrison contributed one chapter titled "Indexing the Empire," and then here, she describes, she basically explained how we can use WikiLeaks. How that they published materials in a searchable format. So how we can search documents. She tells us how we can do it, and I believe this chapter is available online for free.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember it was available online for free. So you could just type WikiLeaks files and Sarah Harrison, maybe you can get that. I mean, I could just send you a link later.
Yeah. And who is the publisher of that book?
That's Berso. Berso.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a small publisher. I'm not familiar with it.
I don't think so. I think it's a big publisher.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's widely available, that book. It's easy to get. The book itself, the whole book?
I mean, it's available anywhere. I mean, Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's the main other reference.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Let's see what everyone else says. Emma Beveridge. This is an issue of good versus evil. The dark, secretive forces of evil are very threatened by anyone that exposes their evil deeds to the entire world. I can't believe that more people do not recognize that this is the action we must take in this moment to save our world. Everyone asks, what should we be doing? Everyone keeps wanting to start a movement. Here it is. So I think that's true. I think it's happening. I think the movement is everything, like a raised consciousness, isn't it?
Yes.
Unity Today is a part of it, but Julian Assange has been wonderful.
Yes.
And Rafael Correa is starting to really make some waves as well. So a lot more people are speaking up, and people like you who have been aware of this for so long and the importance of it for so long. It must be great for you to see like newbies like me coming in and
yes.
Well,
I think and then I also think that I find the very strong women supporting Julian Assange and WikiLeaks. I mean, the WikiLeaks legal team has, for instance, many brilliant female lawyers, Jennifer Robinson and Miranda Taylor, and I mean, and then also, Sarah Harrison, also, the WikiLeaks investigative journalist, and then Julian Assange, and many people that I met in my support of WikiLeaks. I recognize the strong women.
Yes.
So
Susie Dawson?
Yes, she's too. So yeah, that's very important to recognize that it's women, in many ways standing up.
Yes. Let's see what else. Question: favorite WikiLeaks release? Which WikiLeaks? release?
It's by far for me. This question is easy. For me, the Colorado Mara video, that was for me the most important one, obviously. And, I mean, I in some ways I feel like in the image, depicted that we've seen how the United States is just enacting the old colonialism. There, just as they did genocide of natives. And the cynical naming of Apache helicopter, it was Apache helicopter, right? That was gun, and so Apache, it's Native Americans. I mean, so I think that I think it's a gave opportunity for American people to recognize history that it has been buried in our memory, the genocide. And to recognize that we are doing still the same thing overseas, we are still killing people, and just as we're doing things that have been done to indigenous people in this country. So it was, for me personally, it was powerful.
Oh, cool. And Garrison again. I just downloaded the book. Thanks to Nozomi for making it free online. That is nice of you, Nozomi.
Right. Yes.
I mean, you think it's important, and you want it to get it out as widely as possible, don't you? Rather than just make.
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah. I want people to just understand what this organization does.
And Propaganda said it's about WikiLeaks releases. It's a great overview of Julian's work. Now, I'm not sure if he's talking about your book or the book you just showed. Maybe he'll clarify. And Garrison asks, this is a general knowledge question. what has happened in the Ecuadorian lawsuit so far? I got the idea that a hearing was cancelled. I don't know anything about that.
Hearing got cancelled. That's what I understand.
Oh, so,
I think here.
Yeah. Let's see. Up to you. Question: do you get targeted, Nozomi? Up to you. Okay, that's probably a pass, is it?
No, I mean, I think that somebody else should speak. I think I spoke enough.
Yeah. Oh, there's no one else here, unfortunately. So we'll just wrap up, I think, after this. Do you want to see if there are any more questions, and then just make that the end?
Yeah, sure.
Margaret, does Julian have a vision for WikiLeaks after he is released and free to speak freely?
Oh, what's the question, Julian?
Does Julian have a vision for WikiLeaks after he is released and free to speak freely? It would be the same vision, wouldn't it? It's consistent.
Oh, we have to ask. We have to free him first so that we get to hear what he has to say.
Yeah. I just see if there's anything more.
WikiLeaks, by the way, I mean, now WikiLeaks has a new spokesperson, and then organization keeps publishing. It's just recently published the materials concerning the Amazon's secret data center, location of secret data centers.
That's right.
That was latest release. So WikiLeaks is still going.
That's right.
Despite its founders being arbitrarily detained, I mean, the organization is still going.
And the new editor-in-chief is I mean, people say nice things about him. He's a very great person as well, obviously.
But I mean, that's just the nature of his job, right? I mean,
it goes without saying. Yes.
Editor-in-chief of the
Okay, I think that's all the questions. It's been wonderful talking to you.
Yes,
very informative.
Nice. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
It's a great honor to be able to speak for him. So thank you.
It's an honor to have you here. We're such amazing people in this movement, and you've been awake to this for so long. It's it's just wonderful to hear someone who, from the beginning, was aware and felt strongly and acted strongly through the years. So thanks very much.
Thank you for having me.
Good night. I think. Yes, so I think Ebon, I think
okay, so exit.
We'll close just a little bit early. It's almost time to close anyway. Ebon, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Is there anything else, or I'm trying to look at the comments online. I don't see anything else. Just a reminder to everyone. Susie is normally here. She normally does this. She asked the other moderators in particular of UNT4J to take over, and we did yesterday, and I think there were two of us mainly yesterday, and there was only one of us today. Everyone's sick, I don't know. But we were just privileged that Nozomi came on, and so that made it a very good session. I thought it was wonderful to hear Nozomi, and we'll be back with WikiBees, back to the more, actually, working on the tasks more. I think hopefully next Wednesday, Susie should be recovered from her flu, and we'll have go back to the more normal WikiBees sessions next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks very much to everyone who watched and who asked questions and gave comments. And see you again next Wednesday when hopefully Susie will be fronting it. Bye-bye.
Our number one enemy is ignorance. And I believe that is the number one enemy of everyone, is not understanding what is actually going on in the world. It's only when you start to understand that you can make effective decisions and effective plans. Now, the question is, who is promoting ignorance? Well, those organisations that try to keep things secret, and those organisations which distort true information to make it false or misrepresentative. In this latter category, it is bad media. It really is my opinion that the media in general are so bad, we have to question whether the world wouldn't be better off without them altogether. They're so distortive to how the world actually is, that the result is we see wars and we see corrupt governments continuing on. One of the hopeful things that I've discovered is that nearly every war that has started in the past 50 years has been a result of media lies. The media could have stopped it if they had searched deep enough. If they hadn't reprinted government propaganda, they could have stopped it. But what does that mean? Well, that means basically populations don't like wars. And populations have to be fooled into wars. Populations don't willingly, with open eyes, go into a war. So if we have a good media environment, then we'll also have a peaceful environment.
Julian Assange, thank you very much.